Before I go, filming this special today has been a very uphill struggle. This is about the 8th recording I've made because I've been plagued with indecision. No, something's been stopping me recording, if you believe in all that. I've recorded this about 3 times without the sound on. We've had rain, we've had cars, we've had trains, we've had people. It's been a task, so I hope you enjoy our little video today, and we'll see you tomorrow on the normal Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment, the Sunday show. Hello, welcome to Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures here on Halloween, and we have our pumpkins, and well, they're very useful things. But where did the tradition come from of carving pumpkins, and why do we actually celebrate Halloween? Well, funny enough, Halloween has been a tradition for centuries, from pagan times actually. It was to celebrate going from light into darkness. All Hallows Eve, supposedly this is when the spirit world came back into this world, and in pagan times we used to have massive big celebrations and parties with bonfires that get dressed up in costumes and paint their faces that would try and scare the ghosts back into the afterworld. And then it's carried on throughout the centuries, and everybody, almost everybody around the world celebrates in some way or another the 31st of October. In Mexico, of course, it's the Day of the Dead, and that lasts 3 or 4 days. What a magnificent party that is. And they really go to town. It's absolutely brilliant, but that's the beginning of November. But again, it's celebrating the connection between the afterlife and here, and new growth, and all those things that we have in our traditions on whenever you grow anything. We have harvest festivals, don't we? We have the spring equinox, all about how to protect, keep growing our plants. But where did the tradition start of carving these pumpkins? Well, I'm sure you know pumpkins come from the Americas, and but they didn't start it. Apparently, it comes from when the potato famine was happening in Ireland, and a lot of the Irish left Ireland and went across to America, and they took the tradition of carving not pumpkins, but turnips with them. The turnips were really, really hard to do because, of course, they were solid, not like the pumpkin. You get help with a pumpkin because it's hollow inside already. A turnip, boys and girls, you had to really dig out because it was a solid piece of vegetable. But we did it, and we were so pleased when we did. A piece of string on the top and you could carry it around. Now, whose idea was it to start carving turnips? I love this. An Irish folklore tale, a story, maybe a ghost story in a way, about a man called Jack. Now, Jack was a farmer in Ireland, and he caught the devil, and he got the devil trapped, and he got a cross, and he got the devil to say that he wouldn't take his soul after Jack had died. And then, of course, Jack released the devil and he went. A few years later, Jack did die, and he thought he was on his way up to heaven. Unfortunately, Jack had been a very naughty boy throughout his life. He didn't even get into heaven. He shrugged his shoulders and went off and thought, well, I'll meet the devil again. Oh no. Jack had forgot, of course, he'd make the pact with the devil. The fact that the devil couldn't take his soul because he'd said to Jack, if he released him, he wouldn't have his soul. So there was Jack in limbo, wandering all eternity by himself, and eternity was really dark. And so the devil, out of kindness, believe it or not, gave Jack an ember. And because he was a farmer, Jack got a turnip, cut out the insides, put a few holes in, and put the burning ember in the middle, and it lit. And that's why we call turnips that are hollowed out inside jack-o'-lanterns, because they were made from a pact with the devil. Isn't that fantastic? Yay! Well, I wonder why we carve the pumpkins. I'll let you know in a moment. What a fantastic story, isn't it? So they took the jack-o'-lanterns to America, but because of course they're really hard to carve, they found the pumpkins and they started to carve the pumpkins instead. Brilliant. I love all these old folklore stories. So I'm going to head off into my greenhouse now. I'll see you in there as we talk about what to do with the things inside. Well, here I am inside the greenhouse. We've had all sorts of weather while I've been trying to film today's special about pumpkins. Now this is a very small pumpkin, bless it, and it started to decompose really quickly. However, I have saved it because I want to use the pumpkin seeds that are inside. They're very important because they're free for a start, which means I can get lots of pumpkins on my allotment next year. Interestingly, that one there, there's nothing in it. It's flat as a pancake and you can feel that there's no seed inside, so we don't want that one. I'll pop that on the compost heap later on. Yes, you can just pop them straight onto the compost heap. You can put pumpkin there. So here I am inside my greenhouse and I'm just picking some pumpkin seeds out of a very small and very sad, bless it, pumpkin. It started to rot early on, and but I've saved it, and you know there's some nice juice there that we can use later on in our feed while we're feeding some plants some nutrients. Pumpkins are full of nutrients. Now what do you do with your pumpkin seeds? Well, you can save them. Well, I like to save them, and we can get free pumpkins next year. Obviously pumpkins love lots of space, so if you are going to plant them next year, make sure you've got a big enough area for the pumpkins to roam as free as they like, because well, they will. They're a bit like triffids, they just go everywhere they want, so you need a really big area to grow them in. Now to dry them, just wash them off under the tap, get all the residue off from your pumpkin, and then dry them. An easy way to dry them, put them on some paper towel, put them on a tray and leave them for 3 or 4 days and they'll just dry naturally. That's if you're going to plant them. Obviously if you want to eat them as pumpkin seeds, you have to dry them off, put them in the oven and cook them. If you do that, by the way, you can put all sorts of seasoning on. Chip seasoning, that's really lovely, allspice, paprika, all sorts of different ways, and well, enjoy them if you cook them. Now back to looking after them. Once you've got them dried, I normally put them in an envelope yes, another trusted envelope, write on what they are and pop them in my drawer in my shed, nice and dark and cool, and that's what they'll like over the next few months or so until we plant them fairly early on next year, actually about May time, February, March, April, May, that sort of time, depending on when you want your pumpkins, of course. Now the other method is to dry them off in the same way, and get a little plastic tub like that, maybe smaller, put these, yes, again in another envelope, put the lid on, put some holes in the lid to stop condensation so they don't rot or go bad, and pop them in the fridge. In the fridge, can you believe that? And so I'm going to do both of those things this year, have a little competition to see which one gives me the best results next year when I plant them. So either in my garden shed or in the fridge. I just hope no one throws them away in the meantime. Obviously when you're picking them, look at them all, check them and pick the biggest seeds, because that will give you the better chance next year of growing some pumpkins. So enjoy your pumpkin growing. Ta-ra for now.